Hey, folks, welcome to the Cripescast. This is the podcast where we talk to people for and or from the Midwest. We are powered by Everlight Solar, and here's this week's episode. Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of the Cripescast. This week, we have the very funny Becky Robinson on. You've probably seen her videos, The Entitled Housewife. She's also done voiceover work for Middlemost Post on Nickelodeon. She was in Wild and Out. She was named Just for Laughs New Faces of Comedy. She's got it going on, okay? So it's going to be a fun episode. We actually do a little bit with her Entitled Housewife versus my Midwest guy. So stay tuned for that at the end of the episode. But also, I want to let you guys know I am on tour. Got shows coming up this week in Chattanooga, Birmingham, Atlanta. And then next week we go Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, do the old Texas run. And in December, Elkhart, Indiana, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can check it out, cripescast.com/tour. And as always, we are raising money for Doctors Without Borders. You can check out Doctors Without Borders, doctorswithoutborders.org, or follow them at Doctors Without Borders. And ladies and gents, without further ado, here is my conversation with Becky Robinson.
Oh, we have what is that, a golden doodle?
It sure is, Charlie.
What is,
This is Sandy.
Sandy Dunhelm.
Sandy's a female.
Oh, female. See, I honestly, I feel like every golden doodle looks like a lady dog.
Yeah. Most people call it he.
Most people say he?
Yeah, but they do look a little feminine, and they kind of act like it too. They're like kind of little, I don't know.
Yeah. They're kind of like a nice piece of furniture, a little bit. Like a nice footstool.
Like a restoration hardware, like a nice ottoman. You know, a little high maintenance, kind of a little bitchy, but cute enough to where you're like, yeah, I need it.
I feel like, the emotional support that we can get from animals, that can go a long way. That makes it worth it.
You really can. Yeah. She was a surprise gift in a relationship. And then we broke up and the person was like, she was technically a gift if you want her. And I was like, I don't want her. I need her. Like, the road gets dark.
That is the problem, I think, with getting dogs is you can stay in a relationship a lot longer than you should because of the dogs. Yeah.
And we went the opposite way.
I don't know what that means.
We said we got to get out of this relationship.
Oh, okay. So the dog wasn't even a consideration. It was just it had to end, and what was going to happen with the dog was going to happen with the dog.
Yeah. I mean, we had a slight conversation about she's a product of a broken home, but she's okay.
She's okay. Dogs can recover from that. Not quite as quick as kids, but dogs can recover from that.
Yeah, exactly.
What have you been up to? You were on the road?
Yeah, been on the road. Had 3 cities last weekend. Flew back. We always try to get that 4 or 5 a.m. flight out. Couple days in town and then fly out again. Just kind of that's the weekly plan right now.
You like that early flight, huh?
You go back and forth, but yeah, do you hang around the city for a bit?
If I'm going to hang around the city, I like to do it before the show because it just gives me a lot of fun stuff to play with during the show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's a good call.
Do you do a lot of that, like get there beforehand, find kind of interesting stuff, incorporate it in the show, or are you like so back to back you don't have much time to do that?
Yeah, I used to in a simpler time. I used to like to get there early, but we've been kind of ping-ponging really fast this time. We've been adding a lot of the people that come to the shows, we call them the girls. They're all like massive golf fans. So sometimes I'll go and go golf with them or do something golf related or play pickleball with like a few of the girls. Or if I'm playing like a country club that weekend, I'll go early and, do something with it. Usually helps at the country club so I can get to know like what some of the club scandals are. And I like to work that into the set because there's so much shit that happens at these country clubs with like the new hot tennis pro coming in and hooking up with the married women and like all sorts of things,
Yeah, that is. I used to work at a country club myself. I used to be a caddy. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and later on, I did some bartending at a different one, just short stint. But
Yeah.
you kind of figure out pretty quick. I actually I did a show at a country club, and I found the swingers found me like
Yeah.
real quick,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's yeah. This now I say all those things, but I know that you know these scenes better. I mean, this is like so. Give us the insight. Give us like what's really going on here at these country clubs.
I feel like you see it once, you know all of it. Like it's everything that's happening on the streets, but like with you take that, but put a polo on it. And hide it a little bit behind like some Belvedere and a private door and a private gate and security. It's
Hey,
like it's all the same shit. It's like, you know, hefty drinking, a lot of cheating, a lot of wives, husbands swapping, a lot of, scandals, a lot of cocaine. But we were golfing with this one crew, and this girl was like, "Do you want Eastern, Western, or like whatever medicine?" She like pulled out this thing and it had every possible drug imaginable, just like in her fanny pack. And was like, "What do the girls want today? Let's do it. Let's fuck it up." So they've got everything. They've got access to everything, So it gets pretty off the rails. Yeah, I mean, some of the things that happen in like the locker rooms afterward, it's wild.
Wait, so can we go back to this little pillbox? So you're out there golfing with a few gals at the country club. Where can you say roughly what part of the country this is in? So as to not give away the geolocation, but give us is it the Midwest? Is it the South?
I think that was probably Connecticut.
Sounds very Connecticut, actually. All right. So you're in Connecticut. And this is just a random group of people that you met on the road playing 18 holes. And
I think that particular one, they had like scheduled or worked into my contract that I would play like 3 holes with them. And I ended up playing a lot more than that because they were so fun. But
you chose the blue pill, huh? Good for you.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So it was just like, let's party. Is that kind of what it is? Just a huge party on the golf course. That's like a Hunter S. Thompson amount of drugs. That's straight out of Fear and Loathing, Connecticut. You could do a whole sequel to it.
Oh, you absolutely could. And it's interesting because a lot of them too are like, they're not, I mean, some of them, some of the positions they hold are like badass, very high up, very like CEO level positions, a lot of these women. And they're still like, they're like, roll my fucking calls. Like I'm out golfing, but they're, and some of them, are moms and they do that. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's a fun web of these like women that come together just with the like thing in common of just, we are sipping, gripping and ripping and we don't give a shit. Like we have nannies at home. Our husbands piss us off. They're hideous. We're fed up. And they're just like, we deserve and demand to get loose. And so it's always kind of like the general theme in common at like a lot of the shows and stuff. I always tell people like, it's fine to come alone because you won't feel alone when you're at the shows. So one posse will take you in under their wing and provide you some form of hallucinogenics. Do you do a lot of characters? Do people dress up as you at your shows?
Yeah. And in fact, I when I used to do exclusively like a character, that's how I started off with exclusively this man twang man character. People would dress up like that, and they still do to a certain extent, like wear a camouflage kind of suit coat type thing to the shows. But since I've kind of done a lot more that wasn't necessarily that character, it's mostly your standard issue camo and plaid and flannel kind of situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is great. You see a lot of great camo patterns. But it is interesting. We do have, it's funny when you dive into a character the way like either of us have done. You almost find like you do it at first just because you think it's funny. It's something you observed. But then to see people relate to that and then feed the beast. Like
Yeah.
I can't, the way I feel about the thing I'm doing is that it was really not even built by me, because so many of the jokes, so many of the things to mention, so were things fans sent to me and I incorporated.
Yeah.
So is that same on your end, where people are like, oh, you got to go here, check this out, or do a bit on this aspect of it?
Yeah, so much, so many emails, so many comments, so many, and like they'll comment things that are 1,000 times funnier than anything I'm saying in the video. And I'm like, damn, these girls
Yeah.
are good. But it really
Yeah.
it was based off my parents. And then, yeah, I honestly was like, no one's going to think this is funny. And I almost like didn't even post the first video. I was like, this is not my best character work. I thought it was like, I don't know. You know, sometimes we overthink things. I think some of my characters were getting too far down the line of like overthinking them. I was like doing this thing called the hummus guy for a while with this crazy curly wig and a towel over my shoulder, and no one ever laughed. Everyone just always looked at me confused as hell. And then this one has just, yeah, it's really taken on a life of its own. And the things they say and the places they tell me to go, like, you got to do a video on this, or they'll tell me real stories of the things that happen at the shows. Like, we had to call the cops a couple shows ago. One of them was getting dragged out, and she was like, she fucked my husband.
Oh, she found someone at the show who had cheated on her husband. They got into a fight at your show.
Yeah,
huh?
apparently, yeah, fists were thrown.
Wow. This
So
is a
hot.
fascinating, you know, I want to dive deeper into that, but it was funny what you said about almost not posting your first video that kind of changed your life. Because
Yeah.
that same thing with me. I first of all, I sat on the idea in some form for like 3 years. And then
Wow.
I finally did it and cut it together. And then I was like, I don't know if I should post this. But I think that's an important like lesson for, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there just sitting on kind of like life-changing ideas. And it's just
Sure.
kind of like, what do you think made you just go for it and post it?
I took an edible.
Okay. So there you have it, kids. Do the drugs. Okay. Kidding. Disclaimer.
No.
Kidding. How many
It
milligrams?
was actually probably like a nibble of like a 5 minutes. I'm a puss. It was probably something small, but I think it was actually my older sister has like really guided me through. She's the first person that like made me go on stage when I was right before I turned 21. She made me try stand up for the first time. She's like, you've been talking about this forever. Like, we're going to have you do it for your birthday. And I just grew up like always trying to make her laugh. And, I showed her the video. We were home alone in my parents' house during the pandemic, and she laughed really hard at it. And she was like, and she was working in the ER at the time where it was like, they still didn't have enough like PPE, and it was really dark. And she was like, I think it's funny. And they were trying to make light of things too, just like get through their days. And she was like, I think it's fucking hilarious. And so I take everything she says holds a lot of weight for me. And I think that was what like probably pushed it over the edge, along with like the giggles from the edible. I was like, it doesn't like think less. I was just trying to tell myself like, think less. It doesn't matter. Like if it made you laugh, maybe it'll make one other person laugh. And then that would make it worth it. And you know. So
was that the real big career changer for you? Was that the one, like the biggest moment right there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think so. Anytime I've like leaned into characters, it feels like good things have happened.
Yeah, and did you how'd you get into that kind of work? The kid, because that's different from stand up. It can be incorporated into stand up, but it's really kind of like a Second City type thing. They specialize it in. So how'd you get into the character work?
You know, I've always done a lot of voices, and like you did a lot of impressions growing up, but weird ones, you know, like Fat Bastard and stuff, like Deuce Bigelow, Milkshake, like weird stuff. But I think I always had like wigs and props and stuff. I was always like always maybe a little junior carrot pop.
Yeah.
I think I just thought like things are funnier with some flair or some wigs, or like maybe this as it's like layered down. Maybe I thought like I wasn't funny as is, or like this is okay, but it would be much better if we threw something on it. And I just kind of started collecting wigs. And yeah, when I first moved to LA, I got a job at like a YouTube company, just like uploading people's videos for them, like the Tonight Show and stuff. I got a 9 to 5 so I could do stand up at night. And so my parents would like not say anything. I was like, I have health insurance. You can't tell me I can't like do stand up and stay up all night at these shitty open mics. I'm going to do it. And I started filming like a little kind of man on street thing. I used to love watching like Sacha Baron Cohen and Eric Andre. And I was like, you never really see a female doing this stuff. And I always felt like I could break into anywhere and it would be fun to like see a woman doing that stuff because I thought I could get away with more. And so I had like this videographer guy that would come with me. And I just started going places in LA, like landmarks like Venice Beach and Runyon in costume and interviewing people as characters. And that was kind of how I just really always wanted to make like an Eric Andre show with a bunch of characters, I think. And then I like doing them on stage and stuff and was just throwing tons of stuff at the wall, and probably also came from not believing in my stand-up very much.
Yeah, no, I get that. I feel the same thing because I think sometimes for me too, the character was allowing me to like sort of have plausible deniability between me and the thing. It's like, it's not that I'm not funny. It's that character's just not a great character. You know?
Yes.
It's like so much easier. You don't have to show your true self. And do you find it then hard even now, or have you sort of used the character as sort of a stepping stone to get to your true self?
I think each character has helped me be a little bit more myself. Definitely. There was a while I was doing this one character called Susie Chapstick. That was the characters always somehow turn into like a form of an alcoholic. Like that's like always a layer of part of their personality that I use to like make them say things that I'm too nervous to say or something like that. And I remember Susie, I was doing this character so much and I started headlining as her. And then I got to the point where I like didn't want to try new material unless I felt like the material I had written myself, I would perform it as myself. And then when I performed it as the character, it got bigger laughs. And so I was like, shit, I don't know. It must just be funnier as this character. And I don't know, it helps me like be more bold. And sometimes now my sister's like, I feel like you're trying to turn into this entitled housewife and maybe it's not a good thing. But I just think, yeah, I mean, she is like an older, more empowered version of a woman. But I think each one has helped me be like a little more outspoken because I can be kind of like, I don't know, nervous and like I want to people please and, maybe not like express my needs to their fullest extent. And this character just like bulldozes in and is like, or a lot of my characters are very, like that. I think when I was auditioning for JFL, they were like, you don't really have any like nice, like calm characters. They were all like in your face. And then I found this like I started doing the little Walmart yodeling boy. And that one was calm. That's when I ended up getting new faces. Like they were like, okay, finally we see some range.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean that's a really interesting thing because it's like you don't often notice those things until they're pointed out in and you're almost not forced, but like you're shown sort of a weakness in what you're doing and you're like, oh, well, I can do that. It's almost somewhat easier when people tell you just give me the thing that you want me to do. And let me see how I can do that. But there's a lot of time spent in like, should I go this route? I don't know. Is it really? That's a lot of wasted time as opposed to just doing it, just making stuff, Yeah. Did you find that the pandemic, like, obviously we all had sort of this captive audience at that point doing like online stuff. Was that like, did you find sort of like an explosion afterwards and you've just kind of been riding that high since then?
yeah, definitely. That character, that I had always posted stuff on like YouTube and, Instagram and stuff and TikTok and was kind of always like, all right, you audition for stuff. And then it's like, okay, well, I'll just make stuff in the meantime and throw it out. And, that way I can play these characters, even though maybe I'm not getting roles on things or whatever, in addition to doing stand up, and that'll help keep me practicing and stuff. But then during the pandemic, it made, everything like the social media stuff. I went from not selling tickets to selling tickets to shows. But I think a lot of people that came to the shows also, I forgot for so long, like, they really don't know shit about, like, they see a funny video and then they come. A like didn't know that I'd been doing stand-up for 12 years before this happened, and probably thought like this girl made a character and now she's touring. And so luckily had a really good, team around me that was like, I think you should still do stand-up as yourself during the show and not go full Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah. Yep. I had the exact same thing. Yeah. It's fun.
Really?
Yeah.
And were people confused by, did people not know you were a person for a while in addition to the character?
Well, yeah, a little bit. They're like, because people, it's not, we think like, oh, they like a video, so they've gone on a deep dive of us.
Yeah, they know everything.
We're vain, and we know everything. We just sort of assume. But no, a lot of people go for a video they don't know, but it's almost like a great sort of way to just catch a sort of a catch-all, get a lot of people in, and then you can really show them what you want to show them. And I too was like, maybe I just do the whole thing in character. And I also had some people around me who'd be like, yeah, that doesn't sound very sustainable,
Yeah, I know. I'm like, how many jokes can I make up about having a husband and kids? I'm like,
right.
Only so far I can push that.
Well, what are the differences between you and your character? What are the biggest differences?
Just probably like the family, the whole, like, I mean, I guess the lifestyles have melded a little bit. I really have gotten, just because the character is open, I've been spending so much more time in the world of golf and stuff at these like events and at country clubs that I've started golfing a ton. I just joined a country club and I'm like addicted to it now.
That wasn't the case before. Like were you kind of like golf before, but now you're fully addicted to it?
I always liked it, but that's also part of why I created the character. Was like, I always felt like I would never be welcome on a golf course because I'm too loud. And growing up, I remember, my dad would like, he's a big golfer, and he would always try to get us into it, but it was always like, we don't belong here. Like, this is too buttoned up. And, they would say our shorts are too short, or,
yeah.
And you always felt kind of like, as a woman, like you're not meant to be there. Like, you're a second class citizen. Like, the locker rooms are shittier. They're kind of like, get the fuck out,
Yeah.
And I feel like that's changed a lot. And I didn't really know how much it had changed until I created the character and then started getting invited to these clubs. I was like, oh shit, this is like allowed now. Like, the first couple that I did, I was like, I can't believe I'm allowed to like say these jokes at this nice country club. And even my parents at first, they were like, I don't know, Bex, it's a little close to home. And they thought my dad was going to lose his membership at his country club because it was like vulgar. And it even took their friends telling them that they were like fans until they started liking it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So my dad was like, can I get some merch? And I was like, fuck you, Dad.
Yeah. What was that like? Like your parents initially, because what's your dad's country club?
It's called Tualatin Country Club. It's in Oregon. I grew up in a town called Tigard, Oregon. So yeah, he like wins the club championship every year, and like, the geriatric division. It's his livelihood. Plays a couple times a day and played in college, and yeah. And takes it very seriously. Like, never drink on the course or anything like that.
Really?
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So, and that's sort of his life, his thing. And then you come out with this character, and at first they're not into it, not digging it. What was that sort of conversation like? It
was kind of how they'd been toward everything I'd done in my career. It was just like, we're embarrassed by this.
Oh, really? In like a kidding way, or in a no, we're legitimately, you got to figure your life out?
That was always, I feel like, in the back of their minds. Like, yeah, they would say, I don't think they ever believed in like the longevity of it.
Right.
I don't even know if they do now. I don't know, they're very, very supportive now, but yeah, I think they just think like, this isn't real. This isn't a job. This is like, and it's vulgar, but I'm always trying. I think they're now finally coming to the understanding. I've had to like beat it over their heads. Like, yeah, this is your guys' fault. I am this way because of you, because like when you get really riled up and they don't cuss all the time, but when they do, it like really packs a punch. And that's kind of like, what this character does. And I'm kind of like, this is a mirror of how you are. And like a lot of my stand-up is because of the way we were raised and stuff like that. And I think now they're finally able to like laugh at that and not be embarrassed. But at first they were like, I run into my friends at the grocery store and they said this was when I very first started stand up. They were like, we heard about some YouTube video of you talking about giving road head. And my God, Becky. It's just I'm like, when I was in college, I just like, was throwing shit at the wall and was like talking about anything. And I was like, this is what I think is funny. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But they're very supportive now. They come to shows now. They love the attention. My dad like loves getting free golf stuff now. And they're just kind of like, this is just crazy, Bex. This is so cool. So how are your parents?
No, they I think that they're pretty supportive of it. I think for a while though, when you're just going out to Los Angeles and you're not really completely honest about how much money you're making, or you're just like, I'm making exactly the amount that you would want me to be making. So you're not mad at, so you're not like questioning it. So you're not considering, and it's not really a family. I'm one of 12 kids. So it's not like, if you're not really in a position where you want to ask for money or you're going to ask for money. Because then it's, then it's, probably a case where you're like, all right, well, you're going to work this off back home or something like that,
Yeah.
But
I would like work the weirdest jobs or do that.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Excuse the interruption, ladies and gents. I just want to remind you the Cripescast is presented and powered by Everlight Solar. The Cripescast studio has been powered by Everlight Solar for a few years now, and I got to tell you, it's been constant and cost-efficient power. If you're a regular Cripescast listener, you know that I am a fervent fighter for I like walleyes, really. And the nice thing about the solar panels is it helps with climate change, which is hurting the walleyes. So I'm doing it for the walleyes, guys. Anyway, check out everlightsolar.com for a free consultation to see how solar panels could work on your home today. And also, I got to tell you, Fleet Farm is your place to find the hottest deals on everything you need for everyday life and beyond. Shopping for the holidays, they got deals on toys for the kiddos and a huge selection of holiday decor so you can decorate your home however you like and get some toys for the kids. And if you're looking for sporting goods, check out their deals on some of the best hunting and fishing gear you can get your hands on. No need to wait for big sales. Shop Fleet Farm today and find hot deals on all the gifts and everyday essentials and more. And finally, folks, I got to let you know, we got orders of $40 or more on mantalkmint.com. You get a free Blaze Orange Meet Ya at the Fleet Farm hat with your order. So it's perfect for hunting season or just that person in your life that loves the Fleet Farm. Check it out, manitowocminute.com. We got a bunch of other Midwest merch there too. It's perfect for a holiday gift for a Midwesterner in your life. Check it out, cripescast.com. Just click on the merch section. All right, back to my conversation with Becky Robinson.
What's the weirdest job you've done?
I bartended for a little bit, but I had to wear like a corset. That was not good. This is so embarrassing. I don't know if I've ever said this publicly, but there was one time, this is bad. Okay. Well, there was this thing in LA that I signed up for called Hot Bartenders LA.
Yeah.
And they like set you up with a photo shoot and they like made you wear these like kind of little skimpy out. I mean, not like, just like a little dress. And there was one time that they were like, hey, you got requested to come on this, to bartend on this like party bus to Las Vegas. And it was like a bunch of doctors. And it was like a stripping thing. And all of them like stripped and bartended. And I didn't. But I like
all of the bartenders stripped and bartended.
Mm-hmm. They were like,
oh wow,
in like their underwear.
So you're on this bus with a bunch of like half naked bartenders, and you're like, I'm out.
And I was like, I was young. I was like early 20s, and they were like, they were seasoned at this, like they were probably doing some shifts at jiggles as well. Like they were getting inverted on the poles and like all sorts of stuff. And I was like, I'll just be in the front, like, whatever you guys want. And I think they probably got like tipped a bunch, but I was like, I don't care. I remember going home and just like crawling into bed with a sandwich and being like, I feel so filthy.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I've done, in those nude drawing classes, like the figure you draw.
Been a nude person?
But it wasn't fully nude. It wasn't. I had like boxers on, so but it was for a bunch of senior citizens in Greenville, South Carolina. Yeah, it was charcoal drawing class. But there was
very Titanic.
Yeah, I know. But there was this gal. The gal ran the class after. She was like, "How much for you to like take your clothes off for me to do a picture that I can draw at home?" And I was like, I don't. Whatever. What do you got? She was like $25. I was like, all right,
Great.
So somewhere out there, because she was doing the Cain and Abel, how Cain is like grabbing the ground. So somewhere there's a nude picture of me doing that, and then she sent me the picture after, or she sent me the painting. It looked really good. I should
find
like
as in you're like bent over.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm hunched on the ground like this, so it's pretty wild. It's pretty. I wonder where that picture is. I'm sure it's some.
That the senior citizens were more respectful, or more like they didn't give a shit because they were old and they were like, we can do whatever we want. We can say whatever we want to this kid.
I didn't care. I didn't know it that. I mean, I did a lot of weird things for money. I'm going to tell you that right now. But that's probably not even the weirdest. But no, they were fine. I mean, those figure drawing classes. I think I did that for like $50 or $75 and then closed out the day with a solid 25 on the top. It's weird that, just the things that you're like, I'm so broke. What's going on Craigslist right now? And is that where you found? I think I found mine on Craigslist.
Sure.
I don't know.
I think it was definitely Craigslist. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember seeing ads for like, come and live in my studio, but you'll also be like, my sex goddess. There are a lot of postings about that. Like you can live free, but you'll be mine. There are a lot of those in LA. didn't do it.
I'll live in my car. Yeah.
Yeah. There were a couple. Oh God. I remember so much like being the poorest of poor I ever was, like playing colleges in upstate New York, and then like being in New York and having 0 cents to my name and being like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Just like phone dead, just pacing around in like an ankle booty, like with blisters. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? Or being in LA and someone be like, do you want to go out to lunch? And being like, I have no money, but not telling them. And then, you just get water, but they're like, well, we got to split it. And you're like, I have nothing.
Do we?
Do we? Yeah, I didn't touch anything. No, I didn't even split the mozzarella sticks. So maybe if you could just, yeah.
I remember trying to buy my buddy a drink and just getting rejected. My credit card got rejected. I forget what you call that. But declined. And it got declined because I tried getting something. I needed some pants. So I went to Nordstrom. And then they told me I get a discount if I got that credit card. So,
the Nordstrom credit card?
Yeah, but I got denied for that, which then I didn't know my credit took a hit. So then I couldn't get more than like a $200 limit on my credit card. And then, these are the things you learn trial by error, that kind of a thing.
For sure. I have something that happened to my credit like right after college. I don't know what it was. Still affects me to this day.
Yeah, credit's a weird thing. It's kind of like the great abyss. I've never really taken time to figure out how it actually works. But smarter financial people out there have done that and can probably tell us. But
I know a lot of people are trying to step in. I'm just like we're rolling in cash, I guess, at this point.
Yeah. So do you have any thoughts on like, you have a great audience, you have these great characters, you tour the country. Is this kind of like, have you come to a place in your mind where you're like, oh man, this is great, I made it, this is perfect? Or do you have something out there that you're like, this is what I want to do next?
Do you say this is perfect?
Do I? No,
so
we never
curious.
say this is perfect. We always, I feel like it's one of two things.
I was going to say, yeah, never, this is perfect.
But from anyone, old me or past me is like, oh my, are you retire? You did it. You're done. You're
good.
Go fish.
Remember when you had no more in New York? And yeah, they're always want to do more, and always, it's so interesting because you can't quite predict the path, and you never know, you can never like force things into fruition. And I think I'm really, really happy right now with where everything, the first couple of years coming out of the pandemic, I was so scared all the time, just trying to do so many new things and like trying to handle, I don't know what it all meant. And like, I don't know, being good. Like, I don't think I had a lot of balance in my life and didn't really know how to take care of myself. And but now I love it. And I feel like it's very, very tour heavy. And the other projects that I was kind of like working on have kind of taken a back burner, but I feel like now I'm finally juggling everything in a good way, and hopefully we've been working on an Entitled Housewife movie for a long time, and some other stuff, and some of it's coming together finally. It's just taken, they say like you can't do everything and do it all well, like you start to drop the ball on some things. I feel like it's just, I've always kind of been like, but I still want to do all the things, and I think it just takes longer, so that's okay, because I think if I would have done all these things earlier, I would have fallen apart. So I'm kind of happy with the way things have happened. I did Wild and Out when I was like 25. I don't think I was quite ready for that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like Wild and Out, like, is that kind of a thing that like just got you sort of out of your shell, or not caring about like what people would think as they watch your stuff? Or like what role did that have in like building who you are today?
I think it was just, that was one of the first times of like leaning into the characters and being like, this is when good things happen, and just like fall. Like it was the first time I was doing stand up for a while, and then I was like, I'm bored. And then someone started doing these comedy rap battles, and I was like, that sounds fun. And then I just like accidentally won all of them, and then started like auditioning. And it was just kind of like, oh yeah, every time I lean into these silly characters, or like let myself be as goofy as possible and not so serious. Stand up sometimes, I don't know, it just can get so like serious, or when you're in LA for too long, it's like, I don't know, I feel a little suffocated. And I started like being silly again, and was like kind of found my old childlike self again. And the show was, I learned we were filming like 3 episodes a day. So it was like a sketch comedy masterclass over like a few months. And the audition process was really long. We had to improvise as like a team for like a couple months, I think. And then they would just cut people like every day or every week or something like that. And so you could get to like the very last week of a couple months of improvising with these people that you thought you're going to be on the show, and then they'd be like, no, you're out. Just one girl kept rapping like Hamilton references, and she got dropped. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, they were like, that's too smart for the show. Luckily, my stuff was dumb enough. Make the cut.
I don't know how to take that.
But there was one day we were filming, and I was like not doing well. And there was this episode we were doing with Jay Leno, and I had to like roast Jay Leno, and I had written jokes. I'd stayed up all night, and then we went to like the dress rehearsal, and no one laughed, and everyone was like, this is actually really bad and it's offensive. And then Nick like grabbed me and was like, when you do your characters, like that's when good shit happens. And I just went to my little locker, and I like sifted through my wigs, and I went to wardrobe, because they really like doll you up on that show. And I was like, take this off. Like, I want to look, I was trying to do like kind of like a country Southern, like, pregnant by 14, just something type of character. And they were like, okay, we're not like supposed to do this, but they like, finally took my fake eyelashes off and like gave me some overalls from wardrobe instead of like a crop top, and let me do it. And it was like the best day of filming. So that was helpful to hear that straight from him, like lean into this. I remember him saying like, you are fucking weird and you have to lean into that. because it's just your thing. Like, I don't know. And
Yeah.
there was no one else on the show that was ever going to say that to me. Like everyone was kind of like every man for themselves on that show. I mean, a couple of the girls, we had like good camaraderie, but they would also only put one female in every episode. So it was like, all right, it's going to be one of us. So there was a little, But
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I was scared a lot of the time in that too. Yeah. But I started touring right after that, thinking like, oh, people will buy tickets, and none. It was like, oh, TV credits don't matter. And then it was interesting to see that like this entitled character from the internet, that helped a lot. And just putting stuff online, and not being so precious about it. Like, I gotta hold on to this. This has gotta wait until it's properly polished into a special. It was just like, okay, fuck it.
There is something about like perfection sort of being the enemy of creativity in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Of like, you can't otherwise you just never put anything out. You kind of see like it used to be like credits would get you able to tour the country, and then it was like, or now it's obviously the stuff you put out on social media, like that's the way to do it. Do you think there's another iteration coming, or do you think we're kind of like in this same thing? Like, are you looking to kind of the future of like, how do I play this in the long game, or are you like in that thing of like just being consistent with like one joke at a time kind of way?
I see a little bit of both. I'm always like, what's going to happen next? How's it going to change? Are we idiots for filming everything this way now?
I know, right?
When it goes away, we're going to be like, oh, nothing works for the television. But then it's like, I don't know if that's ever, I don't know.
Yeah. I've seen some TVs that are just like turned on their side, and that's how they do everything, It's kind of crazy.
That's it now. It's all horizontal. Yeah, I don't know. I thought about like some like virtual reality stuff. I don't know. It's so hard to predict where anything's going to go, but just not being precious about stuff. I am even still, I've had to like tell someone that works at our management company, I'm like, just upload the videos, because otherwise I'll watch them and I'll be like, this edit's not done. I'm like, just upload them, because otherwise nothing will.
And do you think it gets better when you like let go like that? Do you think it gets better? Do you still have like, I wish I had put more into that one?
I still always think I wish I would have put more into everything. Well, I'm like constantly trying to work through in therapy. Nothing's ever good enough. Like, it's always never quite hitting the mark. But then I'm always, it's always really nice to see the comments and to meet people after shows that are like, I had a really hard time, and just watching these idiotic videos got me through. Like, it's nice to see the comments and be like, oh, people think that's funny. Okay, well, that's good. I guess maybe again, like before with the first Entitled video, like, I guess if it made one person laugh, it's worth it.
No, that's really true. I don't think, we probably don't give ourselves enough credit for that. But you know how it is when you're in like a weird way. And I always find it hard to believe people when they say something that, but when I'm in a weird way and I see something and it just, I was down in sort of a weird place, but I watched and sort of reset my brain a little bit.
Yeah.
And you do realize that stuff is kind of important. It helps you stay sane in kind of a really crazy world that we live in. We've got this thing on this podcast where is like a standard question we kind of ask everyone, but it's what makes you say cripes? So cripes is kind of like,
just like cripes, like
yes, yeah. What? Yeah, that exactly. What gives you that reaction? What's your pet peeve? What's something that drives you nuts?
What movie is that from?
Oh, where someone just screams cripes? I don't. I feel like Chris Farley's done it in a movie at least.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
Dumb and Dumber moment as well.
Oh yes, Jeff. Yeah.
Does Jeff Daniels do it?
I think it might be Jeff. If I were to guess, Jeff Daniels, he's from the UP. So I would think it might be a Jeff Daniels line, but I can't remember that specifically.
God, so when the dog shits in the house, which is often running late for things, I trip a lot. I stub my toes, on the golf course. If I completely miss the ball, just really probably multiple times a day, the word comes out. And I think my parents also use it heavily.
I wonder what would happen if your entitled housewife sort of met like my Midwest dad character, like let's, Yeah. So what's going on today? How'd it go?
Well, how'd it go? It didn't go well at all, because I had to take the kids. The carpool lane was 8 miles long. And then I went to Starbucks and they were out of the caramel, seafoam. So I had to go with something else.
Caramel who?
It's the topper they put on my coffee. And I know you never can memorize.
Well, now we're talking over each other. I apologize. Look, I just wanted to say, drink it black for Cripe's sakes. That's the way God made it.
You know what? That's ungodly. It is the fall season. I'm feeling festive for the first time in years, and I'm just not going to do that. If I want to get a little festive, I can take on the extra calories because you know what? I've been hitting quite a lot of Pilates, and I find that I have the ability to, add in some extra calories.
What the hell is the matter with you? What's the pilot program? What, are you flying now?
It's when I climb on the machine and I do tiny pulses.
Pulsing.
Pulse. Pulse. I pulse. It's almost a Kegel,
I don't even know what in the hell you're talking about. A Kegel. Listen, I think that's something erotic, and I don't. I gotta go to church later. I got enough to confess. If you want to get a workout in.
I'm sorry, it's quite erotic, and I can't help that. I get a little turned on with every class I go to. It's erotic, and it's meant to be. The creator of Pilates was actually quite an erotic person, and if that makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable. I haven't even brought over you a casserole yet, and you're talking about eroticism. Look, I'll give you a little bit of advice in this neighborhood, all right? If you want to get a workout in, get out there and cut the grass, all right? That's what I do. All right. And if I see your lawn getting long, I'll be over there. I'll cut it for you. But it's not me hitting on you. It's just I'm being nice so I don't have to go to purgatory. All right.
Yeah, right. That's what they all say. Well, I've got my gardener for that. He's cutting the lawn on a weekly basis. Okay. So, I won't be out there drilling.
Gardener money. Yeah. You got that gardener money.
Yep, we do. We do. And it frees up time so I can do more things with my children. Do I want to? No. Oh, yeah. I have to.
Yeah. Well, what are you even doing with your kids these days, huh? You taking fishing?
I'm picking them up and I'm dropping them off.
Oh, okay. So you're the Uber. I see how it is.
I am. I am the Uber driver. And I get no stars. I get no tips. I have to do it completely pro bono.
That I can relate to. I drop my kids off over at the pond, and then I says, take your freaking bike. But, these days they're like, there's weird people in vans. I was like, well, don't go in the van, flip them the bird like we used to do back in the day. But
that's right. See,
I tell you what,
like a good person. You sound like you know how to properly teach the chitlins what they need to know.
You can't raise them the way you used to be able to. I tell you that.
You certainly can't. No.
That might be what's wrong with them today. But, I won't go down that road anyways. Listen, I'll see you around. If you ever need your gutters cleaned, you let me know. Okay?
Yeah, we'd love that. We've been looking to hire someone for the gutters, and I don't have anyone yet. So if you could pop over, and we've been waiting on your casserole. You said you do a housewarming surprise, and we haven't seen that yet. So our door's always open.
I just, want to come over, get a little flavor of the land, figure out what you like. Are you a green bean gal on the casserole, or you tell me we got a bunch in the freezer? I'll bring you one right over, and I apologize it's late.
Oh, they're frozen. They come frozen. They're not fresh made. Well, in that case, maybe just hold off and just bring yourself over. How about that? Maybe we'll make something for you.
Oh, for God's sakes. I'll bring you a fresh casserole. Anyways, well, this was real good. Yeah. I suppose it's about that time.
I just got Botox and I can see that only half of my face is moving. Do you see that?
I was going to ask you if you were having a stroke, but,
And
that makes a lot more sense.
I've got to call my gal if I can send her this video and show her that she's fucked up.
Why is everyone getting the freaking Botox these days? I don't understand it.
It's for mental health.
What? It makes you feel happier?
So my brow doesn't furrow every time my husband says something stupid, which is every other second of every goddamn day. See,
my brow.
Yours is
it burrows permanently.
Yours lives in a furrow. It lives in a state of furrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we call those 11s. When there's 2 lines there, that's called 11s. And we want to see none of that. We want to see a forehead of pure butter. That's the goal.
Well, why that? This means that I'm thinking, that I've spent my life thinking. Why the hell do you want to get rid of that?
Yeah, I want everyone to think I know the answers and it requires no thought whatsoever. So, and it's just, Scott, what? What is it? No, you can handle it. Because I'm busy.
Scott's there. Hey, Scott, tell Scott to come over to my garage. We'll get some beers.
He's out in the yard, so you can just tap him. He'll be over. I'm sure he'll saunter his way over there.
All right. Real good. That sounds good. Well, listen, I'll go say hi to Scott, and you guys have a good rest of your day.
Take him in for the week, would you?
Take him for the week? Sure. If he's bringing enough beer, you got to send him with beer. He can't just come empty-handed, you know?
What about high noons? Do you take high noons? I can't remember. Do you like the high noons?
I'm not a high noon guy, but if that's what Scott likes to do, then send him along with it, and I'll teach him what a real beer is. How does that sound?
That sounds good. I think he needs that. He needs that, especially from you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give him a Liney's or two. All right. That sound good?
That sounds good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Real good. Good luck balancing out your face there, and we'll see you soon. All right. That's kind of fun. We should do a sketch like that at some point.
We absolutely should. Your sketches are fucking hilarious.
Yours are too. I would love to combine. Next time I'm in LA, or if you find yourself, are you touring Milwaukee? You coming to Milwaukee anytime soon?
I was just in Milwaukee. Is the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee?
Yeah. You were just there.
Yeah, I was just there 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
I'm sure.
shoot.
Well,
I missed you.
all around the Midwest. I'm sure. And if you're ever in LA,
yeah, we should do that. We should collab.
Do you do every day? Do you go home ever, or do you do?
Yeah, I go home, like to where I live in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I do. I haven't been there, and no, I it's a hodgepodge of driving and flying. Do you tour bus it?
I'm the exact same as you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like the old. I haven't found a tour bus to ever be something that really made sense. You know.
Same. Yeah. I think we have like one run next year of like multiple dates that they were like maybe tour bus, but it'll probably turn into being one of those little glamping Sprinter vans. Like I don't think
exactly.
We always go home for like a couple days a week, or if it's like just stay on the East Coast or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've stayed on a tour bus before, and I just got it. That's not really conducive to a whole lot of sleep.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're in the bunk situation, like if you got your own bedroom or whatever, that's one thing. But yeah, it's kind of like you might as well just get yourself. No, it was just a buddy of mine. And he was on tour, and I was in town, and I just stayed on the bus because I didn't know where my hotel was, and I regret it. I regretted it for like a day and a half after. I got zero sleep. But it's kind of fun if you get used to that kind of thing, I've heard. So I just haven't gotten there. But
it feels like a grass is always greener thing. Like, it'd be so fun to have a tour bus, but then when you get there, it's probably like, shit, we're not sleeping enough. And we're always all in each other's faces now. Whereas now we get to go off into our hotel rooms and like just be silent with a sack of Taco Bell for 12 hours.
Yeah. That's how bands break up, is getting a tour bus. I'm pretty sure.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Well, listen, this was super fun. I do appreciate you coming on, and let's collab. Let's do a video at some point. That would be great.
Love it. I love it. Thanks so much for having me. You are seriously so love all the character stuff. It's really nice to meet you.
Right back at you. Yeah, it's great meeting you too. And if people want to scoop up tickets, where can they go?
You can go to entitledhousewife.com. or at Entitled Housewife on Instagram, or Becky Robinson, thegreat.com, because BeckyRobinson.com was taken by a crazy cat lady.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you put the great after it. That's perfect.
Yeah, nice and cocky.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Becky. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. Have fun in Ohio.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
That is all for this week, folks. Make sure you follow Becky at Becky Robinson 4 and at Entitled Housewife on the socials. You can find her tour dates on her website, BeckyRobinsonTheGreat.com. And you can find my tour dates again, Cripescast.com/tour. Thank you all for listening. Thanks to Hannah Milos and Colleen Maraca for producing and editing this sucker. Everybody keep her moving. And watch for deer, and we'll see you next week.
So roll out the barrel and get the band brewing. Life's got you down, just keep her moving. It's on Wisconsin, the Badgers say it's the old Wisconsin Jubilee.
You know, sometimes when you're ice fishing, you put your foot into walleye hole and go ass over tea kettle and you think you're done. No, you gotta keep her moving.